This is Rock with J-Man is with Garrett from Savoy Brown. So how you doing, man?
Good. How are you? Thanks for
Good.
having me.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. It's really an honor for you to be on my show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So how's life treating you?
Life is pretty good, you know. We're trying to do the best we can, but we have a new record that we're promoting. But unfortunately, we did lose Kim, so he can't be here with us to do our promoting. But we're going to make it good for him, you know. So that's one of the reasons we're talking to you today.
So your new album, Blues All Around, comes out next week, and it's a very special release with the passing of your frontman, Kim. Is that right?
Yep, yep, it is. And we it was one that we recorded in May, and Kim was dealing with his illness throughout that time frame, so we couldn't get it um out as quickly as we thought. So uh for various reasons, but Um, so it's coming out February 17th, and we're trying to prepare for that now. And it's doing very well on the pre-sales on Amazon and some of the other places. So it does look good. So, but yeah, this was something we had done earlier in the year, and just getting it out now in early 2023.
So it has to be a bitter, sweet release then.
Yeah, it it does hurt a little bit, I have to tell you. It's kind of like you know, it's heartbreaking that Kim's not here because he's just a fabulous songwriter, guitar player, and influenced a lot of lives. Um, and you know, I'm hoping we can make this do well for him. You know, that this latest project. So uh, it is bittersweet for sure. We miss him terribly, but we're going to see what we can do with this thing to make a go of it.
Now I have to ask, will this be the band's very last album, or will you guys carry on?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. Well, here's the thing. I think we are going. Tim left a lot of demos, a lot of material that he was writing. Um, I know some of the people think this is the last Savoy Brown record, but I like to think that there's more out there in the future. But uh, I don't think there can be a Savoy Brown without Kim. So as far as live performances and things of that nature, I think that uh, you know it will have to be probably you know, though that will be done, that part of Savoy Brown. But the recordings, there may still be some stuff out there, but whatever has to be done as far as recordings, it's going to have to be done with the same scrutiny that Kim would have done, you know, paid close attention. So,
Well, the band did have hundreds of members over the years already, but it
yeah,
was 69 different band members.
yeah, wow, quite a few. Did you count
Yeah.
them?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Kim did launch a lot of careers and impacted a lot of people. Um, a lot of great musicians came through the band, and some of them went on to some very prominent work. You know, Foghat comes to mind. The band Foghat had a lot of success in the 70s, and they came out of Savoy Brown. Um, it is true he did have a lot of members, Kim being the only original member. Uh, but couple of things. Uh, Pat and I are the longest running rhythm section. I think we were with them about 13, close to 14 years, And we had a close friendship. It was very easy to work together, the three of us. And I think that we were leaving a good legacy. Uh, but yeah, I think that the other main thing to focus on, rather than how many band members he had in and out of the band over the years, um, you know, you got to think that he kept this thing going for over 50 years. And yeah, Kim's the only person I know that, uh, I think that the only band he really was ever in was Savoy Brown, one that he started when I think he was about 16, and had a remarkable career all the way up till the present day. Uh, so it's incredible, and he wrote most of the songs. He played in every gig and played on every recording that was associated with Savoy Brown in those 50 plus years. So that's a pretty good career.
So tell me, when writing this album, did Kim know his time was ending? And if so, were the songs off to based on any of that?
Um, you know, I think he did have a hunch. Yes. I think he picked some of the songs that he did because of that. But for example, there were some reminiscent songs for uh, like California Days Gone By, about bands, about the band hanging in California, uh, you know, back in the 60s or 70s. Um, I think, but I don't know that I think he wanted to. I talked to him about the possibility of doing another record. So I know, even though he knew he was, you know, maybe near the end of his life, he did plan for the future. So he was someone who kept working all the time. He was a he had a great work ethic. So he was working right up to the very end.
When you guys were writing, if you knew this was Kim's last album, did you try and make sure that this would be the best the band has ever done?
Um, well, my attitude always is, um, I think you should always try to make whatever you're working on the best one you've ever done. I mean, that's the goal. Um, I don't know that that was conscious in all of our minds as we were working on the album. I think we were just focused on the music, and playing it at that time. But um, uh, you know, it certainly is the goal to make it the best that you could ever have. The best one yet. So that was definitely on our minds, but I don't think we approached it like this is the last one. I don't think it was approached that way. We just tried to focus on being the best we could.
Were you a fan of the band before you joined?
Yes, and I was very familiar with Kim's work. He had quite a long history before I got in the band. My history is, I'll give you a short, um, history with how I met Kim. Was I was invited by a mutual friend to record with him back in 1999, and it had nothing really to do with um, Savoy Brown. It was just a solo thing that side project that Kim was doing. And so I jumped on the chance, and to my surprise, when I got out there, Pat DeSalvo was playing bass, and we had a great afternoon that day, recording and talking, and it ended up being a solo record that Kim released called Blues Like Midnight, and uh, so that was around '99, and but it wasn't until some years later that we did play a few gigs as that trio, but again, it had nothing to do with Savoy Brown. It was just Kim wanting to do some side work and play a little bit different instrumentation. It was acoustic, mostly acoustic, some electric. But uh, around 2008, um, uh, Kim's bass player was having some health issues, and Pat was asked to cover some gigs. So I also learned some of the songs to help Pat out, get ready for the upcoming gigs. And, we were all friends at that point, and shortly after that, Kim decided to make some permanent changes, and so it's I think it was since 2009 we have all been together as Savoy Brown in this configuration, the three of us. We did have a singer for a short time, but we realized uh, that we were doing pretty well without the singer, and Kim took on all of the lead vocal stuff. So that was quite a chunk that he had to take on, the vocal parts and the guitar parts. But and in a three-piece band, there's no everybody has to pull their weight. There's no you can't hide. There's no place to hide. There's a, there's only three of you, so we had to make it go.
You should do an album where every living member plays on it. Not all at once, but a song or two.
Hey, that's a great idea. I'll keep that in mind. I like that idea actually. That's a cool idea. Yeah, I would love to see what that would turn out to be.
Me too. So obviously you cannot tour for this album. What is the plans for the release of the album?
Well, right now, you're a part of it. I mean, we're trying to promote it as much as we can on social media. The record company's trying to promote it. So yeah, you're right. We cannot. That is definitely um, the hard part, that we can't go out to promote this uh, with a tour. And I'm sure that's what the fans really would like to see, is Kim promoting, the record. But that can't happen. So we're going to try to do it as much as we can this way and see how it goes. Like I said earlier, we have had some very strong pre-sales on Amazon and some of the other outlets, so there's some good things happening with it. So unfortunately, I don't know, other than what we're doing now. We may think of some creative ways down the road to promote it a little better, but right now we're hitting the pavement just like we are with social media and the like. So radio, anything we can do, yeah. So
And your last show was in 2021, opening for Foghat.
yeah,
Yeah, and I've seen them last year. Roger brought me backstage and gave me a drum lesson. That dude is
did
awesome,
he?
man. Yeah,
He's a great guy, isn't he?
yeah.
Yeah, man. I agree 100%. He's wonderful. Those guys have been very good to us. Um, I got to know all of them a little bit. Um, with we opened for them quite a, and on a number of shows we got to play with them and got to know them, and they're all wonderful people. And Roger has been very gracious to me as well. He's inspiring. He's funny. And he's a legend in his own right. So yeah, I it is ironic, that we ended up playing our last show with those guys, and I believe Roger sat in and played. So Kim and Roger got to play together again, and those guys go back 50 years. So it's incredible, to be around that, and such a nice way for Kim to end. Although we didn't know that was going to be the end. We were planning on that was right after the COVID thing, and we were planning on getting back on the bus and hitting the road, but it wasn't to be. So,
What's life like on the road for you?
well, I have to say, Kim always tried to make it as comfortable as possible because he had been doing it for so long that he learned the ins and outs, and I learned from him quite a bit, how to be on the road. Uh, we were all professional at that point. There was no monkey business going on, no drinking, no drugging. We were all very committed to our profession, and so, it was okay, but it's hard. There's a lot of miles, uncomfortable miles where you're driving long, long hours, um, or traveling on a plane for long hours. So, uh, those things get uncomfortable. But I mean, I think that's just the nature of the business, do a lot of driving or a lot of flying, and you do the best you can. And we used to split things up equally as far as driving. Lots of hotels, and but Kim always tried to take care of the band because he knew how important it was to get rest and stuff like that. So uh, we always stayed in pretty respectable places. It was great. It was okay. But there are the stresses that are away from your family and home and things of that nature. So uh, those are the things that are hard to deal with. But part of the job.
What's the best venue you've ever played?
Hmm. Wow, that is a tough question. Um, I can tell you that I can tell you I generally like venues that are where we're a little closer together, and the crowd's a little intimate. So, I do like playing festivals and I like being on the big stage, but it's much more um, enjoyable for me personally when we hit some of the smaller uh, clubs and theaters where we can be close, and the fans are a little closer to us than on a festival. Um, One of the last tour we did with Kim, when we were in the UK, we ended up playing at this place called the 100 Club, and it was really one of my favorite shows that I did with Kim because the 100 Club is one of these venues, one of the few left that was open even during the 1960s and 70s. And even the early Savoy Brown version of the band would have played there. And it was really neat to see all the memorabilia on the wall, and there were a lot of people that showed up that Kim knew from England, from years gone by. And I have to say, it was a very special night that night. It was kind of really fun to be there, being a part of that. So
What's on your rider?
Oh, well, we try to keep it simple. I know a lot of bands, you know, get pretty particular with it. For us, it was always coffee, water. We like to have some sandwiches for after the show. Um, I think I think we used to ask for a bottle of wine if it was available, but I'm a non-drinker, so I never partook of it. I think that was it. What we asked for, for equipment, we always asked for. We would give them a stage plot and say, "This is where we're standing, and this is what is required." But we were pretty simple, you know. I mean, I generally on the road played a small four-piece or five-piece kit. And I did that on purpose because, the more stuff you put on your riders, the harder it is. It gets more complicated. So I tried to always keep it simple. And, you know, I think it was the same with the other guys for the most part. They tried to keep it as, simple as you can, but effective. You want to be able to have enough to do the job. So, but yeah, so that was a great question. I like that.
Do you have a ritual before you go on stage?
Um, my my ritual, I guess, would be uh, I need I like to get away and be quiet if I can for a few minutes. And, I think about the first couple of songs. I think about what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, but I try to get away and do a little self meditation, self uh, kind of guided imagery I'll use to make sure that I'm on the same page with everybody. So yeah, that's kind of my ritual, and I try not to get too amped up, and I think if you get too amped up or you let yourself get sidetracked by a lot of people talking to you, um, you're not prepared for the gig. So I really try to, get some quiet time so I can think about what's about to happen on the stage. So that's my routine.
What's your favorite memory from playing a show?
My favorite memory. Um, I've got a few of them. I think uh, my favorite would be, uh, you know, there's been several times where you actually realize that you made a connection, with the people. So those are the times when I've felt, wow, this is a time to remember, when they're appreciating what you do and you feel like you've, played your best and uh, um, those are my favorite memories. Trying to locate one specific memory, that's kind of tough because I can think of a few that come to my mind. I think that uh, with this band, I can remember playing a gig, and I don't remember exactly where. I think we were in Ohio somewhere, and but I do remember that the band was playing pretty well, and uh, I think that we were in the middle of a solo section that Kim was doing with his guitar, and I remember thinking, "Wow, we're really playing well." It took you to another place, You felt like you were almost outside of yourself, and that was very memorable. Those kinds of things stick with you. In fact, you want to try to recreate that again, and it's always you can't do it. It's always hard to do. So,
And what's the worst?
mm. Well, the worst memories for me are times, um, you know, for me, it's usually equipment failure, where either something didn't work well for you, or uh, I know I've gotten to gigs before, and if we were flying from another city, maybe to a festival, and the right stuff wasn't there, it really makes you anxious. Like, oh God, I don't know if I got to come up with this somehow. So you start begging people to use, can I borrow this or borrow that? Or so those are kind of the worst times. But yeah, usually for me, it's an equipment failure. Or, there was a couple of performances where you just felt like you just couldn't make your hands do what your head was thinking. And, you walk off the stage kind of disappointed that you couldn't pull off what you were thinking. And, but honestly, I don't know that that makes a difference so much to the audience. A lot of times, they're not picking up on what you're picking up on. So, um, but yeah, that's probably my worst times.
What's next for you?
Well, what's next is Pat and myself. We're having a bit of a turn the page moment, I call it. Um, I'll tell you a quick story. We played a festival in Newton, Iowa with Savoy Brown about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. And um, this guy was this guitar player had played before us. His band had played before us, and this gentleman wanted to meet Kim, and he just happened to be hanging out, on the backstage. And his name is Sean Chambers, and turns out that we're both on the same label. He's also on Quarto Valley Records, and he's a fantastic guitar player and songwriter in his own right. And our bass player, Pat DeSalvo, moved from New York to Florida. And just so happens, Sean is from Florida. So they connected several times. Pat would go out to see Sean, and they became friends. And Sean had invited us to do a tour with him. We did a European tour with him in October. It took us to November, I think. So we're trying to get that off the ground. So we did that with Kim's blessing. Kim knew what was happening, and he said that we should do that. It would be good for us. So Kim was well aware of it, and Kim liked Sean. And in fact, when we were touring in Europe, I think it was once or twice a week, we would call Kim, and all four of us would, chat and let Kim know how things were going and where we were. And of course, Kim had been to many of those places. So, so yeah, so we're hoping that's next. If you get a chance to check out Sean Chambers, please do.
How do my followers follow you?
I'm sorry.
How do my followers follow you?
Oh, well, there's two ways that you can reach. I think that the easiest way to reach uh, Savoy Brown, obviously, is hit up savoybrown.com, or hit us up on Facebook. Um, Facebook is very active right now with Savoy Brown stuff. Fans can pre-order the record on the website, so that's out there. Yeah, and if anybody wanted to reach me personally, you can reach me on Facebook. I'm there as well, and through the Savoy Brown uh, Facebook. So I'm out there and reachable, and so is the band. So
Do you guys have any cool merch?
we do have cool merch, and I want to tell you, Kim has very creative person. Kim is and was not only a great singer, songwriter, and guitar player, but he was an artist. So check out some of his artwork. It's on the website and in the merch area there. There's t-shirts, hats. I like the coffee cups. You can check out the coffee cups. And yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff there.
Um, you can you please hook me up with some fresh gear, please?
Fresh gear.
Yeah, like your merch.
Oh, well, I can, you know what? I'll get a hold of Debbie, Kim's wife, and because she's in charge of that, and I will ask her on your behalf.
Okay, so fun question, Tom. You're on death row and it's time for a final meal. What's on the menu?
Hopefully I'll never be on death row. But let's see, final meal? I don't know. I have to tell you, I haven't really thought about that. You asked some great questions. Let's see. Well, I still want a rounded meal. So I want chicken breast with vegetables, like mixed vegetables. And um, let's see, what would I have for dessert? I would have a big piece of apple pie with vanilla ice cream on top.
That sounds good. If you could have any superpower, what would you choose?
Hmm. Um, Superpower. Jeez. Wow. You really. I think I would like to be able to be in multiple places at multiple times so I can see more of the world and see more so I can see more gigs, I might be able to be playing my own gig and then split myself and I could be seeing another band somewhere like
So like make clones and stuff?
yeah, yeah, yeah. See if I could be hanging out with you at an Allman's Brothers show and I could be playing my own gig somewhere.
Okay, let's say you can choose any song ever written by any band, and you can change that song where you were the one who wrote it. What song would it be and why?
Hmm. Wow. Wow, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Song would it be? Hmm. There's so many songs that have great meanings. There's so many songs that have a great meanings and great titles. But then there's other songs that have great grooves, and it's hard to let's see. Hmm. I'm searching. You know, I, I, the only one that comes to my mind would be something like, I'd have to do something like Ticket to Ride by the Beatles, or uh, just because I like the groove, I like the message. Um, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. You stumped me on that one. There's too many good songs. Um, I'm looking for something a little deeper. Let's see. Um, yeah. Hmm. Hmm. I gotta think about that one. I'm gonna have to get back to you.
Who's winning the Super Bowl then?
Ooh, well, hmm, that's a tough one because, uh, I have to say my wife is from the Allentown, Bethlehem area. So everybody in my wife's side of the family are going to be rooting for Philadelphia. But I don't know. I have to say, I think Kansas City's a better team. So I think Kansas City's going to win. But I think that's a lot of people will be rooting for Philadelphia in my family. And are you a Buffalo fan?
Yeah, I am a Buffalo Bills fan. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. I was very disappointed in that
I was so
performance that they had.
disappointed.
I know. I said "Well, they didn't. I said they didn't show up. They had to show up for the gig. They didn't play up to their potential. So,
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on my show. Until next time we talk about the backstage of one of the shows. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. I would love to see you again, man. Nice talking to you.
thanks so much. I appreciate it.
It was my honor,
Thank
man.
you for your.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
My
All
pleasure, man.
right.
Have a good one, man.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah, you as well. Bye
Peace.
bye.
Bye bye.